Close channels of communication link the FBI's investigative staff with one another, as well as with field offices which serve as their bases of operations. The FBI Academy at Quantico, Virginia. On this 333-acre campus, 700 resident students, including police officers as well as FBI agents, can train and study. These newly appointed special agents, they'll spend the first 3.5 months of their careers in advanced instruction at the FBI Academy. Here they will receive training in federal laws and FBI procedures, including use of firearms and defensive tactics, as their indoctrination in the Bureau's teamwork methods begins.
Welcome to the research report, Aim Crest McPherson. This is particularly about Amy Semple McPherson. However, many others will be mentioned from before Amy's time and those that were around her, as well as the ones to pick up the pieces of the Aim Crest McPherson's pie. Was it the smile that exposed the chompy whites? No doubt as the full-grown woman, she swish-swashed the finest wines and lines around the bright mirrors and white chompers. So the pretty whites might have had an effect, hypnotic or not, will in no way get past the pearly gates. That as many of us know that it takes Jesus Christ to have eternal life. For he has risen from the dead and is alive as our eternal King. And this is your research report. Amy Semple McPherson was born October 9th, 1890. She passed away September 27th of 1944. Eventually, everybody would be calling her Sister Mary. She was a Canadian-American and a Los Angeles-based evangelistic foundation as the founder of the Foursquare Church. Now, this was in the 1920s and 30s as her being a media-type celebrity more than a faith healer. We are going to get into the whole charismatic movement now, as she actually was very highly influenced from the one known as Billy Sunday. Billy Sunday was very highly influenced and was taken in by someone named Scott, Colonel Scott, one known as Colonel John Scott from 1824 to 1903, took in Billy Sunday. Now, Scott was a Freemason. He was a 32nd degree Freemason in the Scottish Rite, and having served as Grand Master of the Iowa Lodge. Now, I find it kind of strange and not really coincidental that they would actually be, him and Amy, both John Scott and Amy McPherson, dying in September, her on the 23rd and him on the 27th. I find that to be pretty crazy connection when you look at that. Billy Sunday was an infiltrated agent in society. Now, he was working and actually was trained under John Scott, another infiltrated government agent within the councils of that time. Now, eventually this council would turn into more of what would be known as the Birch Society. The Birch Society is a society that moves money around from one organization to another organization, or churches in general. And we look at Billy Sunday. Now, Billy Sunday is someone that was, he was very athletic. He was in the National League in baseball in the 1880s. He was an evangelist there for about 20 years or so there at the beginning of the 1900s. He was also an infiltrated agent and a Freemason. Now, he eventually became a 33rd degree Freemason in the Iowa Lodge, and would take over a lot of the duties that John Scott had done before his time. He was very good with his hands. He was a stonemason as well as an actual Freemason in the fraternity orders. He has taken those oaths. It is documented him is in the Iowa Lodge, and those lodges are all ran by particular individuals out of the Council 13, Council 33. They organize and orchestrate the agenda set forth by such roundtables and roundtable societies such as the UN. Now, a lot of parents organize things. Unfortunately, this comic is more realistic than funny. They like to get rid of their children for certain agendas, and they like to do this in manners where they can benefit. Unfortunately, a lot of these families are in bloodlines already, hence where the crest comes from, like a family crest, and we'll get into that here with Amy. In fact, when we look at Mildred Kennedy, Amy's mother, in fact, we see that she and her family is in the Illuminati Kennedy bloodline. One fact to look at for this is one of Arthur Kennedy from Ontario, Canada, death in February 24th of 1912. It was, he's buried at the Shanley Cemetery, and this is, in fact, the relation with the Canada and Ontario connection from Scotland with the Kennedys that immigrated from Scotland to North America. Her father, James Kennedy, was also a Freemason and OTO orchestrator. So you can see a lot of the family history in there in connection to the royal elite families, where I'm getting the crest from in particular for the title. We look at this one here. Now, this is very interesting when we look at Louisa May Alcott. Now, she was a governess. Now, this was someone that was paid by the government to work with children and homeschool them and bring them up in a particular manner. Now, governesses are still used today. They are particular people that we would call handlers. And this is all done in the name of witchcraft, a lot of your covens. Amy Semple McPherson was very well influenced by Louisa, and this was a very big aspect behind her upbringing, as her mom would get her involved in the covens and teach her a lot about the arts herself, and the preparation and prep work would be definitely done and orchestrated the way it was planned out. And you see Amy's particular robe and what she would wear and stuff with her cape-like countess look, maleficent, type of aspect of the witchcraft agendas set forth are very much the same agendas that are with the councils and the orders and the Freemasons and so forth. So that government connection is there, and the Mildred also did a lot of this with Amy growing up. James really didn't have a lot to do with her childhood. Here you can see the witch, the mother of the Nephilim, if you will. So Amy married the one Robert Semple. Now, this was a Freemason as well, and this was something that was done out of planned, as Amy fell in love with him right off the bat. He was a Pentecostal speaker during the time that Amy was just still very fresh with this whole idea behind the movement of speaking in tongues. She had went into another church that was set up for her to go to begin with, where she would run into this particular man named Robert. And he was a Freemason, also part of a lot of the agenda set forth with the most worshipful master of his lodge in Ontario, where he would infiltrate Amy in regards to getting into her life. So he was very much a planned infiltrator, and that's exactly what happened. Alright guys, so you're going to be seeing pictures of different people and names labeled. You can kind of look them up if you want, but I'm going to kind of get through this Pentecostal charismatic movement kind of thing. They are a little separate, but yet they're all part of the same agendas. We look at John Wesley, and John Wesley was from 1703 to 1791. He was an angelic divinator. He was into divination and was, in fact, part of the Masonic orders. He was a theologian who, with his brother Charles Wesley and fellow cleric George Whitefield, is credited with the foundation of the evangelical movement known as Methodism. His work and writings also played a leading role in the development of the holiness movement and the Pentecostalism. Now, William Howard Durham, from 1873 to 1912, was an early Pentecostal preacher and theologian, Freemason, and council leader of the Federal Council of Churches in 1908, the main ecumenical council at that time. William is the one that ordained Amy and Robert as Pentecostal preachers in Ontario, Canada. It was then actually where Amy was given a choice to either sacrifice Robert for greatness and fame and wealth, or stay in the backdrop as her and Robert would remain key players on the agendas under the radar. Well, this was too simple of a life for Amy's acidic life cravings. Amy's daughter, Roberta, wasn't even Robert's child. The OTO uses the young women to breed their bloodlines for either important plans for the child or the sacrificed ritual uses. Now, the OTO moved her around a lot. Now, her and Robert went to China in early 1900s, and around 1909, Robert died. Robert was very much being used anyway in regards to getting Amy even to China. Now, the OTO moved her around from China to New York to Chicago. This was nothing more than the training and deity possessions that she needed to receive in her orchestrated future for her Hollywood appearance. Amy married another Freemason, only this one was also an active member of the OTO. He was appointed by a worshipful master of his lodge to be her handler and to guide her into the groove of her career. He was to appear as if he wasn't supportive of her lack of wifehood and her career-minded agendas. Well, this type of plan agenda works so well that you look at today's society and you can see what the fruits were of that. Amy was eventually given money from the organizations such as the Salvation Army, which she actually worked for quite a bit and helped them a lot with organizing and moving money around. But the Salvation Army has always been a front for specific money being moved around for individuals in various churches and organizations. She was able to purchase real estate property near Echo Park in Los Angeles, where she had much of her funds from that particular organization moving around money through these orgs such as the Salvation Army, and a lot of supporters to help fund her and build the Angelus Temple. Now, as we get into Amy and her particular gifts in healing and her fake aspect behind things, we got to understand the charismatic movement. The charismatic movement is basically the movement of speaking in tongues. Now, in 1964, there were 3 steps of infiltration that was revealed in documents. One was destroy the fundamental church of any kind and the structure therein with the basic salvation plan of Jesus Christ. The second one was the Freemasonry infiltration into the church. And the third was the political secret government for total takeover, using ecumenism as one of those tools. The Pentecostal denominations are separate from the charismatic movement in regards to a lot of your doctrines. However, the ecumenical orders and the different councils were actually very much all on the same page with everything when it comes down to the actual people behind all of these movements. You have the World Council of Churches, the National Council of Denominations as well. Now, I want to get into her time in China really quick. There is the Quartor Cornetia Lodge number 2076. Now, this was issued on the 28th of November, 1884. The actual consecration of the lodge didn't take place until January 12th of 1886. George William Speth, from 1847 to 1901, was the press newspaper's infiltrator. Sisson Cooper Pratt, from 1844 to 1919, was the military and murder assessments advisor. Now, he's the one that coordinated a lot of your mysterious murders and actually had a lot to do with Jack the Ripper as well, and the whole aspect behind Whitechapel, which is where a lot of this lodge is located. In a lot of your districts there in Whitechapel district in general is very ghetto-ish and very bad, and one of your first looks at history when it comes to gang or ghetto violence in general. Adolphus F.A. Woodward, 1821 to 1887, Council of the 33, Economical Council. He was a philanthropic lodge number 124 in Durham. He also went to number 304 lodge in Leeds and the number 2 lodge in London. This is the second Freemasonry lodge. Robert Freck Gould, from 1836 to 1915, worked with Amy Kennedy in 1863 Northern Lodge of China, number 832. Now the number 570 China in Shanghai. He was the author of the 4 Old Lodges of 1879, the Anthol Lodges of 1879, and the History of Freemasonry 1883 to 87. Robert had a Buddhist monk teach Amy how to use and throw chi energy along with the occult arts of Thelema, which would be what we know as today as do what thou wilt. Okay guys, so what I want to do now is we'll get back to more of that and pick up where we left off with the church and Angelus, but I want to look now at, as we're looking into the connections with her prohibition and the alcoholism, fighting that back in her time, and how hypocritical it is considering that she was drinking wine nearly every night by the time she was already a Hollywood celebrity, and died from a drug overdose in the long run. And this is what she had to say about it. Check it out.
Leaving Los Angeles for New York and the boat upon which we sail immediately, I was met en route by multitudes of our friends. Among them ever was a liberal sprinkling of newspaper men. And in each city, they asked the same question: Sister McPherson, what do you think of prohibition? It was rather difficult to answer the question in such a few words as one must use them. But I told them that the case of our prohibition here in the United States reminds me of the story of the lecturer who gave a marvelous address on prohibition. And he wound up in a blaze of glory that brought everyone to their feet enthusiastically. Why, he said, my friends, if I had my way, do you know what I'd do? I'd take every barrel of liquor, every bottle of booze, every crate, and I'd empty it in the river. Yes, sir. Then he said, shall we now close our meetings by rising and singing together, shall we gather at the river? He'd spoiled it all. And that's the way perhaps with us over here in America. We teach it, but so often those who profess to make the laws do not quite live up to them and back them themselves. I wish that you could all have the joy of going with us this Eastertide to the Holy Land, where we shall visit on Easter Day the tomb of our risen Lord.
Okay, guys, we're looking at David Hutton and Amy Semple, married September 13th, 1931. It's 666. 1 plus 1 is 6. 3 plus 3 is 6. 9 minus 3 is 6. Divorce March 1st, 1934. 666. 1 plus 1 is 4 equals 6. 9 minus 3 is 6. 3 plus 3 is 6. Adherents and denominations some 19,000 denominations or groups with approximately 295 million individual adherents, are identified as neo-charismatic. Now, neo-charismatic tenets and practices are found in many independent, non-denominational, or post-denominational congregations, with strength of numbers centered in African independent churches, along with Han Chinese house church movement, and in Latin American, especially Brazilian churches. Amy McPherson was someone that was passed around in the OTO. She had many sex partners, one being Milton Berle, and she was actually supposedly somewhere else during the time of his exchange, but there's actually evidence to prove that she was with Milton Berle, and a lot of her time spent very much been at question and controversy ever since the beginning of it all, really. The Angelus Temple, let's talk about it a little bit here. Really quick little history. On July 21st of 1542, Pope Paul III proclaimed the apostolic constitution, Licet ab initio, established the Supreme Sacred Congregation of the Roman and Universal Inquisition, staffed by cardinals and other officials whose task it was to maintain and defend the integrity of the faith and to examine and proscribe errors and false doctrines. It served as the final court of appeal in trials of heresy and served as an important part of the Counter-Reformation. So there is a dedication to the Roman Catholic religion in all of this ecumenical movement. That's really what to grasp, I believe, from that particular stuff that we had gotten into. So it's pretty interesting when you look at it in that regards. Family farm, Amy embraces African American baptized by a black minister. Her followers did help her pay for a lot of her bills and her ministry and a lot of stuff in her personal life. A lot of followers helped her in this as she would use this demonic energy to heal them. You gotta understand this charismatic movement and the speaking in tongues and this faith healing. It's all part of their agenda. Husband McPherson actually left Amy because of her charismatic ministry. Well, what really happened was he no longer was her handler. He actually helped her in her ministry, in fact, for a while. So that would be kind of contradictory if you think about it. She would fake her own kidnapping. And, of course, your local newspapers at the time, a lot of your press, everything was already bought out, as we know, looking at the money trails, who owns the media anyway, and what they did to take attention off of Amy. There was too much attention on her and the Angelus Temple, and there had to be diluted somehow. So they orchestrated this hoax in order to take that attention off of her and actually even give her a little discredit. Little did we know much later in life that she would get picked up again by Kathy Lee Gifford.
So let's go and make some news, boys. Let's check around the pews, boys. Hell, it don't matter if it's true. No, just tell them Amy said it, and she's sticking to it, and she's sticking to it, and she's sticking to it too.
94, 95, 96. At evening, when the shepherd leads the sheep back home, he counts them one by one. 97, 98, 99. One lamb is missing from the fold. One soul strayed afar into the mountains of sin. How think ye?
If a man have 100 sheep, and one of them be gone astray, doth he not leave the 99, and goeth into the mountains, and seeketh that which is gone astray?
Well, here's where Amy takes a blasphemous aspect behind the Gospels and really goes to town with it and changes it around. You got the parable of the wise virgins and the sheep and being caught up in the wilderness and delivering, the Lord delivering us on the day of distress. So she's completely twisting and turning the Gospels. And we've got a Masonic ceremony going on in the background and a couple going into the building behind them.
Shepherd. The good shepherd giveth his life for the sheep. No hill too high, no precipice too steep, no path too rough. On he goes from the hills of Judea to Calvary to seek his own. Poor little brat sheep, what went astray, done lost in the wind and the rain. And the master, he say, "Oh, hireling, go find my sheep again." But the hireling, he say, "Oh, master, that sheep am black and bad." But the master, he smile like that little black sheep was the only a sheep what he had. Then out in the wind and the darkness, and out in the thunder and the rain, the master seeks till he find it, and to bring it back again. But the hireling, he say, "Oh, shepherd, don't bring that sheep to me." But the master, he smile, and he hold it close, and that little black sheep was me.
So just breaking down this blasphemous stuff, you know, he's got the right hand. He's showing you the right hand, the right signal. He's also showing you the left hand, the left side. Now, this is very much supporting ecumenism when you look at different doctrines and the right side and left side of even politics, conservative and democratic. You know, and then you got the counting. There's a lot of counting involved in witchcraft. A lot of how your speech, your pitch, and your tone is delivered. And Amy had learned this quite well as the art of throwing energy when she was in China.
Thus, the good shepherd leads his sheep back home.
Guys, so we're going to get into what came out of all this with Amy McPherson. What was it that she actually contributed to society? And we're going to look at the fruits that she had produced from her Foursquare Church and really what it's showing today worldwide, really, when you look at it. It's really ridiculous when you look at it. The Hollywood Church, the public stage events from the Angelus Temple, her staged kidnapping. So much evidence points to that being fake. Grass stains, walking around the desert, her clothes was fine. The sheriffs and trackers in Arizona couldn't even find any recollection of her being in the desert, traveling in the desert. In fact, they found her evidence actually pointed to her seeing where the trackers saw where she got dropped off and would walk back and act like she had been traveling for a long time. Ridiculous. Her fruits, you look at her fruits, what she's produced in today's world, in today's society. A a lot of people followed her influence and went with the whole church Hollywood route, the mixing of an evil, organization, empire, if you will, known as Hollywood, and mix it with, religion. Look at the transgenders. One Sister Paula in Portland, Oregon, transgender preacher, also embracing this kind of stuff. This is her fruit.
Today family, Kathy Lee's Scandalous: The Life and Trials of Amy Semple McPherson opens on Broadway tonight.
Not Broadway out in Iowa. We're talking Broadway here in New York City. She wrote the book and lyrics for this new original musical, made every single costume that you're going to be seeing. And who better to give us a behind-the-scenes look than her partner in crime, Hoda.
Yeah, it is a terrific show. We are less than 10 hours away from curtain, and I can tell you this has been a real labor of love for Kathy Lee, and I don't know if you guys have noticed it, but she has mentioned this show, her show, on our show just a couple of times.
Yes, her partner in crime. You see, you gotta understand that these are all witches. They're all part of the coven. This is gonna blow your mind when you look at a lot of the evidence and when you read between the lines as to what's being said by these witches.
We have a little show called
Scandalous. Let's talk about Scandalous. Kathy Lee Gifford's musical is going to Broadway.
It's just
yeah, baby. Should we sing the song?
Hooray for Hollywood.
From Shirley Temple to Amy Semple.
Everybody knows Shirley Temple, but they don't know Amy Semple.
Yeah, everybody knows Shirley Temple and knows that she left Hollywood because she wouldn't get into the whole witchcraft scene. She left and she became Shirley Temple Black. Well, you look at Amy Semple, she did not do that. She went ahead and was one of the first celebrities to overdose on drugs and was murdered in that way.
But Kathy Lee's out to change all of that with Scandalous, a musical based on the life of evangelist Amy Semple McPherson. How would you describe her in a nutshell?
She was a woman of history who has fallen through the cracks. She went on to become the most scandalous, controversial, yet celebrated woman of her day.
Stop. You're drifting away from the faith of your fathers.
12 years I've been actually physically writing it and trying to get it produced on Broadway. Everybody agrees that she was the best, though, right?
She was really, really strong, absolutely.
Yeah. We've had 4 workshops, I think.
What does it profit anyone?
2 large out-of-town regional productions, well over 1,000 rewrites. It's all part of the process, and I was spreading it every chance I got.
You have entered the realm of automatic writing, and it's not even a realm, it's our reality, and they do that. Over 1,000 rewrites would be because a certain direction would have not been met. And just like humans, so can demons change their minds over and over again until they get it right.
Yeah, aren't we?
You see, the word gospel means good news, and we were spreading it every chance we got.
Carolee Carmello, in my mind, is the finest working actress in the musical theater. There is not another actress that I can think of that could play Amy the way Carolee does.
This is
Carolee, daughter of infamous cake maker Sarah Lee. No, I'm just kidding. She actually, we're not going to get into right now. She isn't a witch. She is very much a big part of the agendas meant for Broadway. Kathy Lee did pick her for a reason. She has been in her coven before, and they're all reminiscent making this.
Center stage.
Okay, is this what it feels like?
This is the Neil Simon Theater. Would you like me to introduce you to some of the folks?
All right, take me
What
back.
goes into it? This way first.
Of course. We heard a rumor that the hottie with the body
The hottie with the body. And Hot Watts
is in here. One of the highlights for many of the women. You get to see something that's happening beneath this robe. What could,
What could it be?
Ah!
He plays Adam.
Wait.
From Adam and Eve. I've lost
Nice
him to
talking
Woman.
to you. Goodbye.
Love you, Ed. Have a good show.
Are you talking?
Hope he makes it for curtain.
I mean, come on. You think they're really kidding about this and they're just joking and playing it off like that doesn't actually happen? I mean, come on, we know better. I mean, they're playing it off like that, and they're letting you know just how scandalous Amy was in her life when she was in Hollywood in the 20s and in the early 1900s. You know, sex, fornication is what Hollywood's all about.
What a girl's got to do in a town when she's down on her luck. And the best way to earn enough money to burn is for that girl to learn how to. Oh, hell!
Opening night's knocking on the door. You ready?
I'm ready.
Girls gotta do what a girl's gotta do.
Girl gotta do what a girl gotta do.
I wrote a song about that. Oh, I already did. Yeah, sing a little of it.
Girls gotta do what a girl's gotta do. Till a girl don't gotta do it no more.
These are the fruits of Amy Semple McPherson. Right here. A girl's gotta do what a girl's gotta do. Leave the household. Leave being a housewife and go out into the world and be a supporter like Hillary Clinton of the gay lesbian agendas and so forth.
I'm scared to death. Carmel, my lovely wig master here, is prepping my hair to be put under 2 wig caps, and here are my microphones, which live on the back of my head.
In case one goes out, the
That's
other one's,
right.
yeah.
It's a backup because I never leave the stage, really.
You've been on this project since its infancy.
Yeah, the early 40s. Can you believe it?
Yeah. No.
It's like opening night on Broadway.
Oh, but you know
Holy
what, Carolyn? She doesn't know whether to kiss me or curse me.
What a lovely little hidden play, subliminal message on words there. She doesn't know whether to kiss me or curse me, because these are all witches. They're all in a circle. If you look at jewelry here and there, necklaces, rings, whatever, you know, you're going to find hidden stuff to support that they are, in fact, in the orders. And when they say stuff like that, it certainly does point to that.
You are going to sit there in the audience and watch that curtain go up on opening night. What will that be like?
I think that's when it's finally going to hit me. It's my child, and I had a lot of help birthing it, and I hope it'll live forever and touch people's hearts. Thanks to Meredith Reese for that lovely piece. And thank you,
tonight. We're excited.
Thanks, you guys.
Yeah, we got our tickets.
I am so grateful for the support around here has been unbelievable. That's, I think, what I always remember the most is that you guys just right there for me and supporting me and understanding what a passion this has been for me.
Look, we have to.
As if you don't have enough to do. Aren't you supposed to be getting some wine ready for the 10 o'clock? Thank you.
Congrats, Kat.
And I thought for sure that witch from Philadelphia was going to win.
Oh, Kathy Lee, you were the witch that got the roses, and you're the one that won. You were the one that was the faithful servant to Satan in the whole production line of this whole entire thing, putting all the witchcraft into the clothing and spending time on each one and getting it right, and 1,000 rewrites with your automatic writing. You're such a lovely person in society. Thank you, Amy McPherson, for this fruit.
I thought for sure that witch from Philadelphia was going to win. I love you guys. I love you, and I thank you, and we'll see you tonight.
Break a leg.
Thank you. I'll break 2 chubby ones. Thanks.
Coming up.
Now, how sick do you get? Break a leg, and she says, I will break 2 chubby ones. Now, did we not hear her say that this production was her baby? This is a sacrifice, inside information for only those that are in the circle that understand this, or for those of us that are like myself, or maybe such as someone like you that understands the esoteric behind this, knows that she's going to break 2 chubby ones. Yeah, he's like, break a leg. She's like, yeah, 2 chubby ones. She sacrificed a baby in a ritual for this particular production, to get this going. That was her sacrifice that she had to make. Okay? Aimee Semple McPherson also made sacrifices like this.
Hell, it don't matter if it's true. Just tell them
Well, we're seeing Scandalous tonight. It's Kathy Lee Gifford's baby, and we're very excited about it. I mean, it's about probably the first tabloid sensation, media sensation, Aimee Semple McPherson. And, she was big because she had 3 names.
Break a leg, 2 chubby ones. It's her baby. And you have Al Roker talking about it. He can't even, what a programmed, mind-controlled puppet. This guy is about as chipped as you can get. And, of course, he's gonna, well, let's move on here and let's see what else is said with some of these other actors and celebrities in this whole Aimee Semple McPherson scandalous production. Now let's look at the witch's lifestyle, sexual preference.
Come talk to my date too.
Hello. How did you end up dating?
Well, it's a long story. First of all, everybody's crazy about Liza. Everybody is, and I have her tonight. All right, I'm the lucky girl.
No, she called me up and she said, "Do you want to go to the opening of?" And even the minute I heard I said, "Yes." Yeah. I'm dying to see it.
Well, there's no one who's more Broadway, more showbiz than Liza, and I thought, I bet you she's going to get such a kick out of it tonight.
So her date is none other than the lesbian Minnie Mouse, and she is known as Liza Minnelli. Minnie Mouse. She even looks like Minnie Mouse. She's a real-life Minnie Mouse of Hollywood. Did you guys not know that? Yeah, she gets moved around. She gets to date. She's a lesbian. She dates with other witches and lesbians as she's a witch, and they're all in the covens. How sick can you get?
We just came from the theater, and we could not have been more proud. The cast gave 109,000%, and oh my God, Carol Lee and everybody was just brilliant. And the audience ate it up.
What is Scandalous about? Scandalous is a true story of an amazing woman named Aimee Semple McPherson, who was the first media superstar of the 20th century, probably the first media superstar ever, because the media was just being invented at that time.
You guys hear that? Amy's not even known for being a religious leader to talk about Jesus. She's known for being a media superstar. Okay, not one person mentioned anything about Jesus or anything. You know why? Because Aimee went around talking about the Holy Spirit, emphasizing the T at the end. It has nothing to do with God or the Trinity Godhead. It's all very blasphemous, and it's witchcraft.
I wrote it with a legal pad and pens, big pens. I don't do computer. And then I would tape it together, and I'd glue it, and my sweet assistant Christine would then type it up for me, and it was well over 1,000 rewrites. I've written probably 10 musicals because Aimee lived 10 different lives, and we synthesized it down to this one that we thought would be the most exciting for a secular audience.
Yes, because Aimee led 10 different lives, multiple personalities. You know what that is? 10 different demons. 10 different evil entities and forces in Amy's life, just like in Kathy Lee's. Kathy Lee has her own demons as well, as Aimee did. And, you know, this is the fruit, guys. This is what we're seeing. This is the fruit that Aimee produced.
Carol Lee.
Oh my God, Carol Lee.
This is Carol Lee Carmelo, who I call Mello, from a planet called Marvelous, and she plays Aimee Semple McPherson in a way that nobody else could ever do, ever. She's on vocal rest, and I am now her mouthpiece, yes. I'm protecting her, and I'm speaking for her, yeah.
This is the hot mouthpiece.
That's right, baby.
Yeah, the red caramello rocker. Yeah, 666 symbolism at the hand. How she has the protector there. She's speaking for her on her behalf. Witches have their minions, and we just saw that.
Amy Semple McPherson was the most famous woman of her day in the 20s and 30s.
To be a pioneer in so many ways, for her to be completely forgotten, is sort of mind-boggling.
Girls gotta do what a girl's gotta do in a town when she's down on her luck.
These stupid people showing you the arts right on TV. I mean, sexual energy as well as physical action of witchcraft done by the star of the show.
There's some great music. The score is fantastic. It's so exciting because, you know, how often do you get to have the role of a lifetime?
This is what I was born for. This is why I am here. This is what they'll be scorned for no one's done anything like this before.
This particular scene that they're showing is, well, it's essentially showing you the round table councils. This is a round table council. They're showing you something that you've never seen before. Now, I have not seen this play, but I can tell you based on this particular performance in the play that they're rehearsing for is meant to show you a council of particular individuals for the elites that are meeting the agendas in society, such as a scandalous performance, both in reality and on film, for Amy Semple McPherson's life and carrying that over today into your life in society. You see how that works? And they're showing you the council right here, the round table people rehearsing, and that's what it represents very much.
It's just about the performance and the music and the story.
Yes, stand up, Harem-Mabith ritual for the Master Mason. Standing up. Also represents the rise of the New World Order, as we show at the very end of the credits. That scene from the play for that rehearsal you just saw. Amy McPherson's castle. Pretty obvious implications of the brotherhood and the sisterhood in her household. Very easy to see. You got the pineal gland or the pine cone chandelier showing a pineal, even the lens earth, and everything with the eyeball aspect behind our planet and the pineal gland. As you can see there in the dining room, and a lot of your Masonic patterns just everywhere. I mean, absolutely everywhere. You can't get away from it. Amy McPherson, you know, she was a skilled hypnotist because of a lot of her training within the orders. She has been in and out of Eastern Stars, different activities that she's actually been in functions with the Salvation Army under the Daughters of the Nile, which are the female Shriners. And a lot of aspects behind just her covens. Even though Amy McPherson was not, I believe, an actual high up, you know, member of like the Eastern Stars, she was more into the coven witchcraft aspect behind the Illuminati, which was a part of the Council of 13. And not so much the Council of 33. So a lot of your Council 33 members were Freemasons and Eastern Stars, if you will, as well as others. But you got the other orders as well, which were the Council of 13. Now the 33 was more connected to the Freemasonry orders when it came to the councils. There was the first big gathering of the church in Hollywood. The first origins of the calling down to those of the sinner's prayer could be recorded during these revivals. The sinner's prayer in itself is a great thing, and it will bring people to Christ, to Jesus Christ. However, the way they did it was very tainted, and they used it in their own manipulations and agendas that actually that you were really, in the first place, you were being called to Jesus under false pretenses. So the sinner's prayers in these revival meetings and stuff, depending on the individual, I think majority of them really were being led down the wrong path and not to the path with Jesus Christ. She did die from an overdose in 1944. She was actually like one of the first, Jimi Hendrix, first Heath Ledgers, the first, Michael Jacksons to be controlled and murdered by the handlers of Hollywood for not cooperating, and for also they wanted to remember her to be remembered as a person that would be a big contributor for people like Kathie Lee Gifford to make productions, with the scandalous thing today, and it being filled with himself, contradicting the Bible and putting a lot of Gnosticism into it, which is, unfortunate. She was a lesbian behind closed doors. International Church of the Foursquare Gospel has a lot of gay lesbian agendas in it. Now, as well as the many preachers and ministers that are, in fact, gay and lesbians. Yeah, the Church of Angelus Temple became a tourist attraction more than anything. She had speakers of many different types, superior court judges, city councilmen, and district attorneys. Bob Schuler versus McPherson was an ordeal. There was a parade with the float saying only one way, and it didn't say anything about Jesus, and it was more presented as ISIS worship. And, the obvious affairs that she had, she got busted over the radio having an affair as it was, and everybody knew it. Everybody and their uncle knew it, that's what she was doing during the time she said she was kidnapped. Yeah. All right. Well, guys, there's a lot of stuff I wanted to cover I did not get into. I did cover the basics of who this person really was and who she represented and who she worked with and a lot of the people that she was around. Biblically, not sound at all, speaking in tongues and all this stuff in charismatic movement, shaking and on the ground and all that. It's not biblical and it's not of Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ did not have any of this activity. This is not in the Gospels, and his disciples were not anything like that as well. In conclusion, we must not exclude evidence or lose our wit to solve the events of history. The cover-ups and smokescreens will become as transparent to the children or body of Jesus Christ. So the outside must always have an inner darkness, or an evil or a light that is of Jesus within them. It's one or the other. Looking past the obvious from the outside perspective is keen in observation. Because the most popular of toothpaste, rather Aim or Crest, the origins are of the family crest.
Amy, I'm not judging you, but why?
How can someone who's always expected to be so strong ever get filled up?
But God was with you.
Yes.
God was always with you.
God was. He was with me. But he couldn't be with me. He couldn't hold me. Spiritually, he's there to lean on. But he's not there physically. Granted, I'm not like other women. But I still am a woman. I had God during the day and David at night. Oh boy, did he do things to me.
is what I was born for here on the precipice